doe, a deer, a female deer.
Keep watching. Hi everyone, welcome back to Around the World with Joshua and Alyssa, and we are going to show you another place in Arizona, another place that we have hiked, and this is a place that we've gone to multiple times because we enjoyed it so much the first time. And that place has to do kind of with the song that Alyssa was singing at the beginning, Doe Mountain in Sedona. It's a nice short hike. What is this? Is it like 0.5 miles or 3 miles or something? It's
pretty quick.
It's pretty short, but it's mostly uphill.
Yeah.
Completely. But that's okay because it's not very long. So this is kind of near the beginning, and when you get started then you have all these nice gradual steps leading you to the base of the mountain. And then when you get there, then most of the time it's looking kind of like this. There is a very clear path. It's not like you're just trying to find your way up the side of a mountain, but the trail zigzags back and forth quite a bit to get to the top. And on the way up, if you turn around and look out, there's this great view of Bear Mountain.
I think so.
Which is also a nice hike, but we haven't gone on yet because it's a long one, and it's almost completely in the sun. Whereas Doe Mountain, if you go up in the morning, you're in the shade until you get to the top. Anyway, great view. Now when you get to the top of Doe Mountain, it's about a half-hour climb, average I think, so not very long. Looks like this, all open and like desert, barren, there's a few plants. So then you walk another, I don't know, like 500 yards or something, maybe not quite that much, and you get to this view. And it's so cool because you're just overlooking this whole big wide area, and those other mountains off in the distance are probably 2-3 miles away at least. Way over there in those mountains is actually where Devil's Bridge is that we have showed you before. And so if you're going to Devil's Bridge and you look off in the opposite direction, you'll see Doe Mountain. This is something interesting you might see there or other places. Alyssa, you want to explain to us what this actually is? Because we saw a lot of these the first time we were in Sedona, and I've seen them other places around the world and never knew what they were for. But Alyssa found out.
They're supposed to be like a Buddha, in a sense that it's like larger rocks or smaller rocks stacked on top of larger rocks, and it's supposed to be all about balance and such in the universe. So it's kind of a little bit mystical, and because Sedona is known for its red rocks and some of that kind of stuff, it draws a lot of those kind of people to the area. So you'll see a lot of these little Buddhas, I guess, if you want to call them that.
Literally what it is they're building this little idol type thing.
Yeah.
So if you've seen these before and you thought, oh, that's kind of cool, well, it does look cool, but it actually is quite sad, and all the significance behind it. And this is the first time we went there. We decided to get some fun pictures on the overlooking the cliff. So there's a picture of Alyssa sitting on the edge, and there's a picture of me standing in one spot. It's safe. That rock is not like scary. It just kind of looks like it, but it is a really cool backdrop. And this is when we went there this year with little baby Jaden. And notice we didn't get as close to the edge this time because now we have kids and we have to set a good example for them. So that was when Jaden went with us to Doe Mountain. So fun hike, short, good morning, evening one. if you just want a quick hike in Sedona.
Yep. Okay, I got some more story today.
Mm-hmm.
We started our brand new story last week about Hamid and his sister Kinza. And there was something wrong with Kinza that we learned in the story last week. And they went to a cave. And as they were leaving, Hamid was just thinking how sad it was that his sister was basically stuck in darkness. She couldn't see, and darkness was so scary to him because he thought that that's where the evil spirits lived. And there's a lot of sadness for Hamid too, because he didn't know that there was light in the world. He didn't know who Jesus was, and he didn't know that Jesus had come to save him, and that he could have life forever with Jesus, and he wouldn't have to be scared of things like darkness. But at this time in our story, Hamid didn't know who Jesus was, and he just knew what the Quran told him, and he knew that according to his book, the Quran, that there was one God, Allah, and they were supposed to pray to him so many times a day. So he knew those things, but he didn't know about the true God. Well, they went home after visiting the tomb, and Hamid went back and he filled up the water buckets and he carried them the rest of the way back to the house. And as he got closer to the house, he could hear the older wife yelling at his mom. He didn't know what exactly was going on. Well, as he got closer, he found out that the older wife had heard from somebody that she had gone to visit the cave with the little baby, and so the lady wanted to know what was wrong. And as Hamid came in, he saw the older wife just kind of looking and staring at Kinza and feeling her arms and her legs, trying to figure out maybe if the baby was crippled, and that's why they were taking the baby to the tomb. And then she stopped and she looked back, and when she looked at Kinza's eyes, she realized what it was. And the older wife laughed, a really mean laugh, and it was such a loud and mean laugh that Kinza started crying. And Hamid's mother ran over and picked her up and held her close, and the old lady said, "Ha! Now let's see what happens when the husband gets home. He won't be happy to find out that it's a blind child that we have here." But it was really interesting because he didn't respond the way that they thought he was going to respond. So he got home. The husband got home and he didn't say anything to anybody. He just motioned for some food to be set down. So they all sat on the floor, cross-legged, kind of on their little mat here by the table. And Hamid's mom put out some food in the middle and then gave everybody a chunk of bread. And she gave the biggest dark chunk of bread to the husband, and then everybody else got smaller pieces. And then they all took their little piece and they were dipping into this bigger bowl here in the middle of the table. And they were saying specific things. They said, let's see... They said, "In the name of Allah," as they dipped their bread into the soup all together. And they said that because they were trying to keep the evil spirits away. So they did lots of things that they thought were going to help them in life, but they weren't really. Well, after they finished eating, the older wife pointed to Kinza and said, look at her. She's blind. Do you see that?" And the older wife, I think, was hoping that the husband would get mad and angry and maybe that he would beat Kinza and Hamid's mother, but he didn't say anything. He just looked at her for a very long time, and he sat and he thought for some longer. And then he said, "You know what? We need to take care of this child very carefully because blind children might be very profitable for us." And Kinza's mother said, "What? Profitable?" And he said, "Yes, because they can beg for money. Now, we can't sit on the corner and beg with her, but I know a beggar, and we can rent her to the beggar, and then people will give more money because they feel really bad for a blind child." So that was the new thing. Hamid would take his little sister to the village on market day, and he would bring her, and she would sit next to the beggar, and she would beg with him. And Hamid felt really sad for his sister because he didn't want her to have to do this. And she didn't like sitting there because the flies would be buzzing around and be really dusty and fleas would bite her. And she didn't really just like sitting there next to the beggar. But if she begged a lot of money, then sometimes she would get like some extra food to eat. Otherwise, she just kind of sat there and was very hungry during the day. But then they got some money to take home to their family. And when it was close to the end of the day, Hamid would stay at the edge of town and he'd listen for the man to get up on the tower to call to prayer. And that was the time that Hamid knew he could go get his sister and bring her home. And he always carried her on his back, and they got to love each other more and more because they spent a lot of time together like this. He really wished, though, that she wouldn't have to do that. She wouldn't have to sit and beg like that. Well, one night he was sleeping and he woke up and he heard some adults talking very loudly. And he sat up and he listened and he began to shiver. And it wasn't that he was cold, it was from the words that he was hearing. And he was hearing the husband talking, and he said, well, the beggar is moving away, and this is Kinza's best chance, so I think she should go with him. The beggar has offered to buy her from us, and she should go with him. And Kinza's mother was crying, but she's too little, she's too weak, she will die. And the husband said, well, it's better to have a blind child with a job for her. And that was it. And Hamid just thought, this is awful. They can't sell his sister to go be with this beggar. And you're going to have to come back next time to see what happens.
That was really sad.
You have to come back next week.
That's not what I thought might happen. Well, today is an exciting time for us because we're going to announce something with our highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's show them what it is. It's us!
Yeah!
Joshua and Alyssa and Jaden, and we are going to Europe, not permanently. So if that's what you were thinking, Sorry, not that. We're still living here, but we are going to Europe for a few weeks to do some ministry there.
Mm-hmm.
And there we are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you saw that picture, or you thought you saw it just a moment ago, you're right. That's about the most recent good picture of the three of us, actually. So we need to get a new one. Anyway, we are going to Greece for a little bit because we're going to help with a ministry there of ABWE. They are partnering with Nea Zoe, which means new life in Greek, and it's a ministry that helps out with human trafficking, which is a huge problem. And we are going to go there for the Athens Marathon, and there are several people who are going along with these ministries to run in the marathon as a way to help raise money for Nea Zoe. So we are going to document what is going on and do some interviews with some of these people and highlight Nea Zoe and their ministry. And so it's kind of all centered around this marathon in Athens. For those of you who are unaware, the marathon began in Greece. Mm-hmm. And so for those who are going to run in this marathon, which is not me, it's kind of exciting because you get to run where the first marathon ever happened. And this is Marathon, Greece. Marathon is a city in Greece, and that is where the legend tells of the person who ran from the Battle of Marathon all the way back to tell the king that they had won, and then he died. And that was a 26.2 mile run, and so now the marathon is known for following in his footsteps, in a sense. So here's a picture of the Athens Marathon. It's going to be about 20,000 people running in this race, and a few dozen of them are going to be going along with us to help support these ministries. We are also going to Romania this is a picture of Bucharest, which is the capital there. We are going to go there to see what is going on with the Ukrainian refugees. Many of them are in Romania, and there have been many people that have been saved after going there, and with all the different people who are ministering to them in the churches. And so we are going to help tell their stories and show people what God is doing, even though this tragic war is going on in Ukraine right now. God is using it and doing some great things in the lives of the refugees, and we get to go there and show people what is happening. So that is just a small taste of a ministry that we are going to be part of in about 3 months.
Yep, I'm pretty excited about it.
First time out of the country in 3 years.
It's a long time.
Yes. It used to be like we would go out once or twice a year, but now it's just been crazy. So we are really excited.
Yeah.
If you want to help support our ministry in any way, just contact us and let us know. We would love to have you partner with us. Come back next week and we will show you some more in Arizona, things that you can do. And that is it for now.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.